scraps left over from my last Halloween project. Let me show you what we can use the scraps for. So let me show you a couple of fun things. So yes, I have made a bunch of rosettes. Let's start by showing you real quick how to make a rosette. So this was 2-inch paper. I glued two pieces that are from the 8x8 paper collection. I glued two together, and on this one I'm going to score every inch. I'm sorry, every ½ inch. All right, of course my bone folder doesn't, or my scoreboard doesn't go that far, so I'm just going to move the last one to my 6-inch piece, 6-inch setting, and score. Doesn't matter where you move it to, just make sure you stay with the pattern if it's every ½ inch. And then I will go ahead and fold this. So let's get a collection together of several different sizes and different patterns, whether it's ½ inch or 1/4 inch, and different pattern paper, and some plain cardstock as well. So maybe get 5 or 6 of those, 10 or 12, whatever you want, and get that all done, and then we'll move on. I wanted to show you this real quick. These were 3 pieces of scraps that were from 8x8 paper. I must have cut it to 5.5. I think I made a folio with this. But I want to glue this together to make one big long rosette. I'm adding glue, and I'm using my scoreboard. Actually, if I go this way, yeah, that's a little better, because I'm matching the lines. And this way you can make sure the paper is straight on the scoreboard. So I will take this and add a little adhesive, just a little line of wet glue there. And again, using my scoreboard because it stays nice and straight. Even though the lines don't match up perfectly, that's okay. So I have a long piece. It's probably about 23 and some odd inches. And I'm going to use my edge punch. And I'm just lining up the edges, and I'm going to have a pattern throughout this whole paper. All right, we're going to continue. I used this edge punch. It's like a notebook edge punch. It's not the best, but you know what? I only have 2 edge punches, so that'll work. I would love to get my hands on some Martha Stewart Halloween edge punches. Actually, any of her punches for that matter. So this is 3 pieces of paper put together. I think they were about 8 inches long, so it's a pretty big one. I scored it at ½ an inch. Before I scored it, I did the edge punch. It'll just come out a little, I don't want to use the word raggedy, but I don't know. It'll come out funky. I have a 2-inch circle. I'm going to move this over. That I put, hot glue on. And now I'm going to push this all down and pull it into the center onto the hot glue. And hold it and let it cool down. See how the edge adds a little bit of a different element to the border? I like it. I mean, it's you can't tell it's an edge punch. All right, and after that's held down, I've got another circle. And you don't have to use circles, it's just I have a circle punch and it makes it nice and easy. Oops, see, that one didn't come out in the center, but that's okay because we're going to cover it up. So that's all there is to making a basic rosette. All right, so we're going to put a rosette together. So this was 12 inches. It is scored every 1/4 inch. I am cutting off 1/4 inch piece. It looks like it's about 1 inch and 1/4 inch and 3/8. I'm adding glue to one of these little pieces and gluing that together. It needs to be an odd number of pieces. That's why I had to cut one off. All right, I'm just going to let that sit for a minute while I glue this together. Yep, I have to cut one of these off too. These were a couple of smaller scraps. It wasn't even in 8 inches. It was smaller than 8 inches. Probably 7.5, maybe 7 inches. It just was a scrap. This actually is from a fall paper. And I cut this off too. Why am I cutting off 2 if it needs to be an odd number? I don't know. Just how I zigged and zagged it. I should have zagged when I should have zigged. Something like that. All right, and we'll let that dry too. And while that's drying, we'll play with this one. Now also up here you see all of these different size scallop circles and circles. Some I made out of cardstock, some are out of pattern paper. This one will be fun. We'll use that one. But it just depends on what I had available. And this is what you can use your scraps for. My hot glue with a mini glue stick, just because it's what I have. I need to update my glue stick, but it's just what I have. Actually, I'm going to do, this is going to be the underside. So I'm going to do that first. So I haven't closed up the circle, but I'm putting hot glue around it. And to me, hot glue works so much better than a liquid glue because it gets hard, it cools down, and it's easier. So I'm going to push together my little rosette. And this is warm, but it's not hot. It's okay. If it's too hot for you, put 2 down. And then that's the correct side. So I think what I might do is put this right in the center. Now, I use this one. And that'll go just like that. And if you want it to cool down, you can just put something on top of it and let it cool. So that's how we'll do those. So just make a bunch of those. All right, I'm going to put together a rosette. So I want to use this doily, but this is a bright yellow and it just really won't go with this. So what I'm going to do is take a little bit of Rusty Hinge Distress ink and just sort of tone it down a little. Now, not much is going to show. So I'll just really mainly concentrate on the perimeter of this. There. That's more of this reddish orange color, just a little darker. Actually, I'm going to go back and just get a little more on the outside. Try to get all that yellow out. If you have ink, all you need is a pack of white doilies, because then you usually can color it to fit whatever you want it to. All right, that's better. I like that. I actually like having a little darker on the outside and lighter on the inside, and it gives a different texture because we've got the cutouts of the doily. So we've got that. I'm going to put that aside. All right, so we've got this. This is the one that I cut with that notebook style, and to be honest, it's okay. You could, if you wanted to, put sequins on the outside, glitter the outside, but what I think I'm going to do, oops, is take some of this Fun Fur and put that on the outside. I'm going to add a tab of glue. just to hold it down. And I'm just going to weave it in and out of the cutouts. It sort of hides that notebooky look and adds a little bit of the, I don't know, just fuzzy look. Spooky, creepy, just a different texture to it. So I'm just going in and out of these. It doesn't have to be exact. It doesn't have to be precise. But it'll help give sort of that scratchy look. So I'll go ahead and do this. All right, and that is okay, and that's my doily. Now you don't have to do that. You can do whatever look you want. And now I'm going to start layering. So I'll put this on. I'm actually going to use a little bit of my art glitter glue. I'll just put on some of the high points here. Just add some hot glue and I will center this on. All right. I'm going to put this on, but I think I want to distress it a little bit. So I'm using some black soot. Now, not a lot of this is going to show, so I'm not worried about the center part of it. All right, so far so good. Now I've got this doily and this cut apart. Do I like that? If I just put this on straight, it blends in a little bit too much. But do I want another doily? Well, it breaks it up. So yeah, I'll use that. And then add that. Just right there. So I'm liking it. I'm liking the look that I've got. Now, when I was designing it, I had this, it's called copper. And I was thinking of putting this around, but I thought I had enough texture with the black on the outside. So now let me add the rest of it. Okay, so normally you would use a straw, but I don't have any straws in my stash. I do have these skewers that work just as well, but they're pretty thin, so I want to make them a little more substantial. I'm using just a marker just to color the top and bottom black, because I know my ribbon's not going to extend that far. So what I'll do is, I have this velvet ribbon I've had in my stash. Oops. And I'm going to just tack it down with a little dab of glue. At the very top. And then I'm going to twist it. Now if you want, you can use one color ribbon or two colors of ribbon. I'm just doing this with the black just to make it quick and easy. And I'll again tack it down to the bottom. All right, so there is my little skewer. It's making it a little bit bigger. Oops. So I just grabbed a scallop that when I was all done making my big projects, I had a couple pieces left, and I'm just using that to help put things down. So let's figure out, this is the bottom right here, so we want it like that. So I'm going to add some glue. There. And then I will take this little, it doesn't have to be a round piece, it doesn't have to be scalloped, just, it could be just a square piece, but it does look a little nicer if it's will fit there. But that will just help ensure that the skewer will stay on. And then just for a final touch, I'm going to add some ribbon. I'm going to glue this down. I just had this little scrap in my stash, and I'm just going to glue it just like that. We're working on the back again, still. So it looks like that. And what else do we have? A little piece of this. That's too small. I'll use a piece of the copper color fun fur and the black fun fur and just tie this around. I'm just going to tie it into a knot at the top. A little bow. It's a little messy, but you know what? It gives you that fun effect. And that's it. Well, let me show you, though, a couple of things I did. So this is actually just 2 ribbon containers I stacked on top of each other. What I did is I took all my ribbon off of the spools and wrapped it in on boards. I'll show you. Like this, so it's easier for me to store. So I went through my garbage can, grabbed a couple of spools of ribbon, glued them together. I glued paper in between, so then you can take your skewers and go, and they'll stay. I glued a piece on top and then wrapped this with just some scrap paper. So that is a great, inexpensive stand. These stands, I originally got these at an antique store. It had this in so you could put cards or table numbers or whatever in it. So what it is this empty doorknob. There's a wooden dowel in there that's cut off at the top. Then they hot glued a button on the very top to hide the dowel. And then they stuck this, I guess they drilled a hole and stuck this in and hot glued it in. I took this out and my little skewer will fit nicely in there. And that will stand up. So there is our display if you want to do that. So that is how I made my rosette decorations. These would be great for Halloween. You could use them for any other decoration, any other holiday if you want. If you really wanted to, you could probably figure out how to use the back and maybe make fall on the back and Halloween on the front. I don't know, just an idea. So let me show you the finished project in photos. And that is my design team project using little monsters, only available at countrycraftcreations.com. Look for the link in the description box. Thanks so much for watching and have a fabulous day.